participate in one way. Don't fall asleep on us. It's after lunchtime, and we know what happens after lunchtime, right? So if Dr. Burton asks y'all to stretch, I want you to stretch. If you need to stand up, I want you to stand up and stretch so you can get the meat that we are about to be filled with right now. And so our last session for the day is going to be presented by none other than Dr. Cheryl Burton. And the title of the workshop is Change Your Thoughts, Improve Your Mind. Improve Your Life, excuse me. And I'm just going to read a brief snippet of her bio because she is a well-accomplished sister and has so many different accolades and accreditations and degrees. And so I'm just going to give you a little snippet about her and tell you that she is one of the most empowering, charismatic, and captivative voices in motivational speaking today. An international keynote speaker, workshop facilitator, psychotherapist, and certified leadership coach. She has been a champion for personal empowerment and a resiliency advocate for over 40 years, y'all. Yes, she is a leading authority in areas of leadership development, mental health, and personal development. She trains individuals, organizations worldwide in solution-oriented skills that improve productivity, performance, and profitability. Dr. Burton is a visionary leader with an unyielding passion for helping others succeed. She serves as owner and CEO of Cheryl A. Burton Consulting, a company that encourages, equips, and empowers individuals to lead, learn, and live a life of purpose, significance, and a determination to pursue personal and professional goals. Dr. Cheryl is also founder of Lead Hership. Yes, y'all heard that right. Lead Hership International. It's a revolutionary program designed to help women effectively navigate life's challenging transitions, phases of life, find and embrace their authentic selves and identity, give voice to their desires and dreams, and design a new self-affirming chapter in their lives. Hallelujah. Yes, so Dr. Burton is a psychotherapist. She's a licensed clinical social worker, and she's also on the John Maxwell Leadership Certified Team. And most recently, y'all gonna get this firsthand, she is a published co-author of a book entitled Leadership Unveiled. And so she has these books available for us today, and it's Leadership Unveiled, Elevating Leadership Through Experience. And so as I said to you, this is just a very brief bio and snippet of Dr. Burton. And so without any further ado, will you help me welcome none other than our very own, she is Greater Centennial member, our very own Dr. Cheryl Burton.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good to see you, good to see you. And I know that you just ate, and I know what usually happens right after we eat. So I'm gonna ask everyone to stand up. And if I can get this mic is not stable. Can I? Yeah. Oops.
Is it good there, or you want it the other way? You want it this way?
Yeah. Okay, that's good. So, many times we do not celebrate our accomplishments. And I was sitting in on my sister's presentation, and she echoed some things that I'm going to talk about today. But one of them is that we need to celebrate ourselves. We need to not wait until the big things happen, but just by being here, you know. We need to redefine what we call success. Success is getting up in the morning. In her case, it was fixing her bed, you know. So I just want you to celebrate yourselves. I want you to also be aware of how magnificent you are. So I'm going to ask you to put a big smile on your face. Smile. Raise your hand. Take a deep breath. And pat yourself on the back. Pat yourself on the back for being here. And then I want you to point at your chest and say, I am magnificent.
I am magnificent.
Again, I am magnificent.
I am magnificent.
Yes, good. Now you can sit down. You have to remember that. You have to remember that. And I just get a thrill. Reminding people and letting some know for the first time, that they have a lot to celebrate. We are unique human beings with a lot. We are fully resourced, fully equipped to accomplish anything that we want to. But I'm going to talk today about some things that get in the way of that. And as soon as I can pull up my... Oh, you're there. Okay. But I want to follow it on mine also. Hold on one second. Okay. So, as Sister Mavis said, I'm a psychotherapist, and my training was in Freudian psychoanalytic psychotherapy, which I still use as my base. But over the years, I have learned and come to appreciate that it's not a one-size-fits-all. So as often as I can, I try to add to my toolbox. And over the last few years, what I added to my toolbox, and I use a lot, also in between psychotherapy and sometimes doing it alone, is neuroencoding. And neuroencoding, as opposed to psychotherapy, neuroencoding cuts right to the chase. It's a way of hacking into something without having to go through all of the historical things, which is still important. You don't necessarily do one without the other. But today I'm going to talk to you about your thoughts, our thoughts, and how they direct our lives. So when we look at well-being, it's all about mindset. It's all about mindset. We ask ourselves, what do you want out of life? That's the next. What do you want out of life? If I ask any one of you, who wants to volunteer, what do you want out of life? Anyone? Peace. Happiness. I'm sorry? Joy? Yeah, we want a lot of different things. We might want some material things also. The question is, why is it that we don't get those things, right? I just want to take a broad look at things for a while in the beginning, understanding that we are mind, body, spirit. That's how we're made. And within that, we have several areas in our lives that where we want to grow, where we want to accomplish. And those are the areas that I'm talking about: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, and relationship. Next slide, please. So this is a tool that I often use in coaching. We call it the wheel of life. And this wheel looks at the various aspects of life. And if you look at the bottom, well, the way we use this tool is that we ask each person to determine where they are in each of these sections. The perfect wheel is a 10 in all areas. And most times, none of us is at the 10. We might be at an 8, a 7 in 1, 6, maybe a 5, 4 in 1. But the bottom wheel would show the areas where we need to stretch ourselves, where we need to improve. And then we work towards the 10 so that we can have a more rounded life. So I wanted to just use that as a backdrop for what we're going to be talking about. Next slide, please. So let's take a quick look at physical well-being. That includes maintaining a healthy body through proper nutrition, regular exercise, adequate sleep, and so forth and so on. And also, that affects your well-being. And it's determined by your lifestyle choices. We know that if we do too much of one thing, it's going to affect us in some area. Next slide, please. And then mental wellness. It refers to, this keeps sliding down. Yeah. Mental wellness refers to our emotional resilience, our cognitive function, our memory, stress management, which was also mentioned in the last presentation. And it includes practices such as mindfulness, journaling, coping strategies, and things like that. This mic has a mind of its own. And then we want to look at our next slide, please. Emotional well-being. Emotional well-being has to do with regulating our emotions, understanding and managing those emotions effectively, building healthy relationships. If we can't manage our emotions, it often gets us in trouble with our relationships. We want to have empathy. We want to have compassion to enjoy good relationships. Next slide, please. And then social being, well-being. No man is an island. We all need people, right? Usually when we're too isolated, that's when we're depressed. And then we can go to the next extreme, and then we're too fragmented because we're just in and out of relationships, and we're not really having time for ourselves and balancing our relationships. Next slide, please. And then we have our spiritual well-being. We have to find some meaning and purpose in our lives. That helps to keep us anchored. It helps to keep us focused. When we're not having a good day, we have to have something that we can go to, something that we can work towards. And so our spiritual well-being is very, very important. Next slide, please. And then our financial well-being. And these areas that I'm talking about are part of that wheel that I showed you before. So we're looking at a holistic life with all of these parts. We need to know how to manage our finances. Unfortunately, right now, this is a problem for a lot of people because people want to work and they can't work. They've been furloughed. So a lot of people are going through a lot of stress because they can't meet their bills. They don't know when the government is going to open again. So we want to reduce money-related stress, and we want to plan for the future as well. I just was speaking to one of my clients a couple of days ago, and she found out that a young cousin in his 40s passed. He was just playing pickleball. And so no preparations were made prior. He didn't expect that to happen. So as a result, now there are issues financially because nothing was prepared. So we have to prepare for the future. Next slide, please. We also have to have environmental well-being. Those of us who recycle know the importance of separating things. We want to leave the earth better than we found it. We want to engage in sustainable practices. And your next slide, please. So all of these things are connected. If we look at the financial matters that I was just talking about, when we are stressed because we don't have enough money to pay the bills, the groceries are too high, and we can't afford what we used to buy in the way we used to buy it, it creates a lot of anxiety. So the financial stresses creates emotional problems. And then we have the physical. If we are not exercising regularly, if we're not getting proper rest, it affects our mental health. We can't function at our optimum. And then spiritual, if we don't have a sense of purpose, we walk around feeling hopeless. We don't feel connected. We can't be as resilient as we'd like to. And especially in these days, we need to have some connection spiritually, whether it's with a community, whether it's journaling, mindfulness activities, getting involved with nature, but some kind of spiritual connection that we need to have. And the next slide. So in order to cultivate well-being, generally with all of those pieces, we need to have a growth mindset. We cannot have a static mindset. Oftentimes I hear people saying, well, that's the way I am, I can't change. And I just cringe whenever I hear that, because the only time for me that you can't change is when you're 6 feet under, right? But any other time, and I am just very passionate about helping people to realize how resilient they are. And I've seen it. I've seen people who were down on their last hope, sometimes hopeless, they were able to rise above their circumstances. And years ago, one of the areas in which I work was in alcoholism. And I have really come to respect alcoholics, really, because I've seen the work that they do, and they have done, and they continue to do to get sober and stay sober. And some of them are really more resilient than we are, who do not have a drinking problem, so to speak, or a substance abuse problem. So never give up on yourself. Never give up on anyone. If you can help, then find someone else who can help that person, because everyone is worth attention. So we are fully resourced, as I mentioned, to do, be, and have the life that we desire. But there are some things that get in the way, and I'll talk about those in a little while. Next slide, please. I love this statement: your thoughts are your lifeline. Because everything begins with your thoughts. If you want to grow, you have to think. But don't just think widely. Don't just think, without any focus in mind. But you have to think differently. You have to try to capture your thoughts. Ask yourself, why am I thinking what I'm thinking? How are my thoughts serving me? Years ago, I started something because I realized that a lot of people were coming to me talking about not knowing the next steps to take, feeling stuck. And I started to do what I call Thinking Tuesday, where I spend some time, about 20 minutes, half hour, on a Facebook Live, talking to people about how to pay attention to their thoughts and how their thoughts control their behavior. And I made a motto, which I use. I do it monthly now. I used to do it weekly. But this is the motto, and if you think about it, you'll see what I mean. I'm forgetting the thought right now. Your mind is a garden, and your thoughts are the seeds. And you can decide to grow flowers, or you can decide to plant what? Weeds, right. And the weeds are those negative thoughts, the self-defeating, self-denigrating thoughts that we have, the negative thoughts that take us down, the negative thoughts that, judge other people. The same way that we can plant flowers, which are the positive thoughts, we can help ourselves really get more resilience. When we think negative, that's what we get. So we don't get what we want, we get who we are. And we are what we think. So our minds, there's a lot of power in your thinking, and I really spend a lot of time trying to help people get out of the comfort zone of their thinking. we don't spend enough time really looking at what we're thinking. And many times we find ourselves in places and we ask ourselves, well, how did we get there? But I'm deliberately wearing this t-shirt today. I don't usually dress like this to come to a conference, but this is pretty much the way we function, all right? And I'm gonna ask you to get up again, because I want you to I don't want you to fall asleep. But this is the way that we all function. And one of the things with neuroencoding is that we try to get to the matter. We try to simplify things. So, as I think, so I feel. As I feel, so I do. And as I do, I have a result. And that goes both ways. If I think positively, I'm going to feel positive. If I feel positive, I'm going to do positive. And then I'll have a result. So we are actually responsible. So I'm going to ask you to do this exercise with me. And then you have the written one to take home so you can remember it. So as I think, so I feel. As I feel, so I do. With your body. Yeah. As I do, I have. Okay. One more time. As I think, so I feel. As I feel, so I do. As I do, so I have. Great. Give yourself a pat on the back. Come on, yeah. Celebrate. That's one thing that we don't do enough of. Okay. All right, so like I said, your thoughts are very powerful. If you think you can, if you think you can't, guess what? You're right. If you tell yourself you can, you will. And if you tell yourself you can't, you won't. And you'd be surprised, as you tell yourself you can, doors begin to open for you. And I'm not necessarily talking about physical doors only. They will open also. But psychologically, you're telling yourself that you can do more. You are expecting more. And when you expect more, you get more. Unfortunately, many of us have what I call scarcity thinking. But you need to think abundantly. There is enough to get for everyone. Everyone. So if you think you can, and if you think you can't, you're right. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. So I picked up this phrase about stinking thinking when I was working in alcoholism, And, stinking thinking are those negative thoughts. They just keep you stuck. They keep you in negative spaces. But I think that Romans 12:2 says it well also. It says, do not conform any longer. Because we were not necessarily born thinking positively. We have to learn that. It's a learned skill. Do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test, approve what God's will is. His good, pleasing, and perfect will. So you have to keep your mind open. You have to think positively, and the answers will come. Of course, life is full of challenges, but he said he'll never leave us. He'll never forsake us. So we just have to show up. Next slide, please. So we talk about this word psychology, but each of us have a psychology, and that's the way we see the world. It's the way we see ourselves, the way we see others, and the way we see our environment. And fortunately, that is not static. Our psychology is subject to change, but we have to be willing to allow that change to happen. So we can change our psychology. Whenever you feel stuck, and you feel that you can't go any further, there is an answer. Just try to find someone. Try to find someone who can help walk you through that space. And it's the kind of thing that you have to practice. You have to practice regularly. The little exercise that I just gave you, that's something that you need to remind yourself of. Practice regularly so that you can encourage yourself, because that will help to change your psychology as well. because our psychology, it's general, but sometimes it shifts based on what space we're in at that particular time. So some days we might have a very difficult time and we might tend to forget the things that we can do to boost ourselves. So fortunately, our psychology can be changed. So I'm going to ask you the next slide. I'm going to ask you what limitations have you put on your abilities? Any one of you ever said, I can't do this, I'm afraid to do this, whatever? Anyone? I know I have. All right? I think everybody's hand should be up, right? Because there's some point where we have been, I'll just tell you a little story. Every year I go to, it's been in Atlanta for the last 3 years, but a community that I belong to, and this event is called Turning Point. And we go there, a whole lot of coaches from all over the world. We go to Atlanta to test ourselves, to test our limits. And I am not one to shy away from challenges, so I told myself I was going to go to the summit. I was going to sign up for the summit. So there's like base camp, there's an intermediate one, and then there's the summit. And so there are about 10 of us, and we have different challenges, and those are the most difficult ones. But the one that was most difficult for me, and I was scared to death, you walk across a rope bridge that's about 1,300 feet. You walk, well, you walk across this bridge, right? But the whole point in this, well, you're scared at the beginning. You're scared at the beginning, but as you start to walk, you learn how to balance yourself, and you're learning, you know. Action is what's going to get you through challenges. So you're walking through this bridge, and you know, you're about 50 feet up in the air. And you look down, it's just forest, but you walk across and you get to a circular platform around a tree. You get to that tree, and then one by one, so we have our helmets on, of course, and our harnesses, and then you have to, so this is the platform around the tree, and down there is 50 feet below, right? There's nothing. And you have to step out. Just thinking about it, I approached the edge of that platform about 5 times. Each time I retreated. And you have people encouraging you somewhere in the bottom because they went before and some were behind you. So eventually, you know, this is the whole thing about that exercise, because you begin to think about what you have to do, and you decide that you're going to try different things. So I found that I was looking down. When I looked down, I was scared. And that's why I kept going back. And then at one point I said, I just really need to look ahead. And I was looking at the top of trees, you know. And I just kind of held my breath, and I said, well, if they did it, I can do it, you know. And I have my helmet and harness. So I walked and I stepped off. And one coach helped me because he said, just take take one big step, And I just took one big step and I went straight down. And it was so easy. It was so easy. The depth was really scary, but if you looked ahead, as I did, and then there are people down below to help you bring yourself down. And I landed, I didn't land standing up, I kind of landed on my butt, but I got up. I got up. But I'm just saying that if you think you can, you can. And if you think you can't, you can. And so the following year I went back, and then I challenged myself with something else. Okay, so next slide. So I'm not finished with this one yet. Yeah, so I'm asking, what kind of self-defeating thoughts, and you don't have to necessarily say this, but just think about it yourself. What are some of the self-defeating thoughts that you've had that's kept you stuck in some places? And we tend to look for answers in the same place all the time. And we have to look above in a different way. We have to think differently, like I said before, because we can't really solve problems at the same level of thinking as we created them. Okay? So these are just important things to remember to help push us forward. The next slide is, I mentioned the growth mindset. It can't be static. Comfort zone might sound comfortable, but it's really deadly. If you stay in your comfort zone, you're not growing. And I started in my book, I talk in the chapter that I wrote in the book is about self-leadership, because I feel that you can't lead anyone if you can't lead yourself. And so I wrote that chapter during a very, very difficult time in my life, which was in August. My mom was very ill. She was between hospital and rehab. And I practiced a lot of self-leadership and use a lot of techniques. I tell people I don't teach theory because I have to use the same techniques that I try to impart to my clients. But that was a very trying time for me. And I was able to make it through because of a lot of the techniques that I use, which I described in the book. And one of the things that I found is very, very helpful is that when we allow ourselves to think differently and look at things differently, it makes a difference. So this quote that I have up there, oh, where's Tim? Yeah, I'm still on this quote. This quote that I have, Tim, are you there? Yeah, come back to the guy with the binoculars. Yeah, this one. Yeah, this quote that I have up here is one that really, really is very helpful to me. It has been very helpful to me. It's by Wayne Dyer, who was a very, very influential psychologist and a very spiritual man. And he said, when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. Just think about that. When we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. Unfortunately, many times we're looking for the change to come outside of ourselves. But we have to change the way we look at things, the way we approach things, so that we can be unstuck. The next slide, please. So the question comes back, what do we want? What do we want out of life? We want to achieve a lot of things. We want to lose weight. We want to be healthy. We want to purchase a home, maybe. We want to have meaningful relationships. But in most cases, we know what to do, but we don't do it. And why? Why is it that we're not doing what we say we want to do? It's not that we don't know, but we are oftentimes sabotaging ourselves with what I call the thieves of our dreams. And I'll tell you what those are. We get in our way, and that's why I spend a lot of time talking about our thoughts and how we use our thoughts and how we can get beyond those thoughts. So let's look at, I'm going to ask you if you recognize any of these. Procrastination, hesitation, fear of failure, fear of success, self-doubt, self-loathing, imposter syndrome, and fear of rejection. No? I think we've all visited some of these, right? Some of them are probably still living with us, right? But these are the reasons, these are the thieves of our dreams that get in the way of us achieving what we say we want to achieve. And I'm just going to spend a little time talking to you about what they look like and how we can arrest them. First, we have to understand them. We have to know how they affect us, and then devise a way to eliminate or arrest them. We're going to look at, and the reason why these are very important because they all are created by us, starting with this. They're all thoughts which drive feelings, and then we have an action, or an inaction, right? So first one we want to look at is procrastination and hesitation. Anyone familiar with those? Yeah? Okay. Okay. These are actions that are triggered by thoughts and the emotions that lead to inaction. And procrastination and hesitation are kind of similar in a way because they are both, we get involved in procrastination and hesitation because we're trying to avoid some kind of discomfort, some kind of pain. And there are different levels of pain. It can just be an annoyance, or sometimes it can be a painful feeling that we don't want to revisit, or we don't want to develop. And it comes from some kind of external or some kind of internal stimulation. We might have had an experience when we were in middle school or elementary school. Some of the experiences we might not even remember, but the feeling remains with us. And so we don't want to revisit that again. So with procrastination, for instance, it causes a delay in our decision making, right? Sometimes we ignore the value of time, so we procrastinate. We figure we have all the time in the world. But all of that is to evade, to prevent doing something. Sometimes it's because of lack of discipline. At least that's the way it shows up. But it's really an attempt to avoid some kind of discomfort. With procrastination, it might be, we might think about something that we did before that made us uncomfortable, or something that we have to do that's going to make us uncomfortable, some level of pain. So we put it off. So we step back from that uncomfortable feeling. And then later on we go do it. Usually when we procrastinate, it just means that we're putting it off for another time. While with hesitation, on the other hand, next slide, hesitation is, I got ahead of myself. So how can we resolve procrastination? We need to have a personal vision. Give ourselves a timeline. What is it that I want to accomplish? What can I do today? Don't think about the whole week. Just what can I do today? Or what can I do in the next 2 hours? Break it down into pieces that are manageable. And then create a habit list. What kind of habits do you want to have? And what kind of habits do you have that can help you manage whatever it is that you're trying to evade? And then find someone, if you can be honest with yourself, have a meeting with yourself, or find someone who you could talk to, who could help you move you from that stuck position of procrastination, because they can have severe consequences. It's not just you getting away from a period of discomfort, but it also have real life consequences. And then hesitation. These are all thieves of your dreams. So familiarize yourselves with them. Try to identify them as we go through this, because that's the only way that you can begin to arrest them. Hesitation. Usually at the root of hesitation is also fear. You don't want to come out of your comfort zone. Sometimes you have low self-worth. You have too many options, and you can't decide which one, so you get stuck. And then lack of self-confidence. But this is also another way of us trying to avoid or evade some kind of painful or discomfort. And how do you resolve that? You try to find out what the root cause is. Why is it that I don't want this? Is it that I don't want to deal with that memory that's causing me to hesitate? Or am I afraid that that something terrible is going to happen to me, or I'm going to feel more uncomfortable, or something painful is going to happen to me? Try to identify the root cause. Define your self-worth. There's another exercise that I do with my clients called the mirror exercise, where I have people look in the mirror and speak to themselves. Speak to themselves, I am beautiful. Just listen to Mary J. Blige song, That's a self-worth type of affirmation, helping you through the day. Identify times when everyone has had some feeling of self-confidence at some point. Many times we lose them because of something that happened. We might have been bullied, we might have been laughed at, whatever it is. And as a result, we kind of retreat and we don't want to take that step again. And try to create some kind of plan. My sister was talking about the organization plan before. Create some kind of plan to give you certainty, to give you some direction, to help you get through that period. And then the next slide, there is fear of failure. Who likes to fail? Anyone? Well, I don't mind failing, I'll tell you, because I have come to see failure in a different way. Because if you don't try, you don't learn. And growth can cause pain, but until you tell yourself that you have failed, failure is when you quit. Sometimes you just don't get the result that you want at the time that you want, but it doesn't mean that you have to quit. So fear of failure is really one of those emotional barriers that prevent individuals from taking action. So if you stop, then you have failed. But if you decide, I'm going to try another way, in doing it, we also learn new ways of doing whatever it is that we are trying to do. So don't run from failure. I encourage people to embrace failure as long as you can do it in some kind of safe space with someone that you can trust. But failure can be your friend, not necessarily your enemy. And how do you? What are the causes of failure? Sometimes we try to live up to other people's expectations. We find that we are working in a job, we don't want the job. But because mommy and daddy say you have to be whatever, you decide, oh, this is what I have to do. And you don't do it well, you don't enjoy it, so you feel like a failure. So try to figure out what you want. Look at the talents that you have, look at even the volunteer work that you've done. What type of things bring you joy? And we sabotage our own self-confidence when we try to live up to others' expectations. And also overvaluing the opinions of others. You need to have some positive feelings about yourself. And this is where I ask my clients to write I am statements. Positive affirmation about who they are, who they aspire to be. So that you can, it's also called an identity statement. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that. Sometimes we have had traumatic experiences that we don't want to relive. Because the trauma happens once, but we keep reliving it in our head. Remember, all of these are thoughts, right? And we are in the driver, well, your thoughts are in the driver's seat. And I always say, you better check yourself before you wreck yourself, right? So the next slide, please. How to resolve that fear of failure. Again, trying to find out the root cause and analyze potential outcomes. Look at other ways that you can do. What are some of the things that you can do that might lead you forward rather than keeping you stuck? Learn to think positively, right? And look at the worst case scenario. It doesn't mean that that's going to happen, but at least you have some idea how things might go. You can you can prepare yourself for it. Have a contingency plan. And then reframing failure. I like this one because, like I just said before, unless you quit, it's not a failure. And if you learn a lesson from it, it's not a failure, right? So I find this little quote very helpful because it tells us how we can reframe the way we look at things. And it goes back to that quote that I said, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Now, it says, if you fail, never give up, because FAIL only means first attempt in learning. That's not failing. Try to flip it. Try to reframe it. End is not the end. In fact, END means effort never dies unless you give up. Unless you give up, you haven't failed. And if you get no for an answer, remember that no means next opportunity. Okay? So look at the way that you look at things and how can you change those things. Okay, I'm going to go through these a little faster because I see my time is getting, and I have some other things I want to share with you about. Fear of success is really a debilitating fear of failure, and it's self-imposed as well. And someone might say, well, why would I want to fear success? Because success can be painful also. You might be afraid of increased expectations. You might have to work later. You might have to make more sacrifices. You know, you might lose some friends. You know, there are a lot of reasons why people step back and don't move forward because they're afraid of being successful. They might have to give up some things that they don't want to give up. And the causes of success, fear of success, is you're afraid to lose your identity, backlash from others. Well, who does she think she is? You know, she was hanging with me yesterday, so what? You know, that kind of thing. Elevated expectation, not wanting to be in the spotlight. Some people don't like the spotlight, but those are some of the causes of fear of success and how to resolve them. Identify the root cause again, find evidence to support a new belief. Like I said, find ways of looking at things differently and create strategies to help you win. And then the other one of our thieves of dreams is self-doubt. When we doubt ourselves, and all of it is based on negative self-talk. Negative self-talk, that's all it is, you know. I am not good enough. Who says? Who says? Look at your sources. Who is telling you you're not good enough? You know, maybe somebody that's jealous of you. Someone who doesn't have enough faith in themselves to move in the path that you're moving. So they can't even imagine that you can do that because they can't see themselves doing it. So look at your sources. And some of the causes of self-doubt, past mistakes, maybe sometimes you weren't encouraged, comparisons with others, new challenges that you are afraid to face. So these are all things that can be resolved. Then we look at how to resolve that. You know, try to find people that can validate you. Keep a journal. Don't look for validation so much outside, but try to find something about you. That mirror exercise that I talked to you about, doing that exercise, I am magnificent. Tell yourself, talk to yourself, you know, and smile when you're doing it. Don't just look in the mirror and say, I am magnificent. No, I am magnificent. And you, yes, you know. Okay, let's go on. Self-loathing. Self-loathing doesn't mean you hate yourself, even though there's some people who really hate themselves. They don't like the way they look. They don't like the color of their skin, whatever. Self-loathing can be as minute as you get up in the morning, you look in the mirror and say, oh gosh. You know, just because maybe you have a little extra pounds around the waist or something like that. You know, so self-loathing doesn't have to be hating yourself, but it's something about yourself. But I know I've had people in my practice where they just didn't like their facial features at all, and they don't want to look in the mirror. One person didn't even have mirrors in their home because of that, right? Okay, so some of how to resolve self-loathing: acknowledge your feelings, talk to somebody about it, reframe your judgments against yourself, practice accepting compliments. Unfortunately, many times people can't accept compliments. You give them a compliment, oh, that's a beautiful hat you're wearing. Ah, this little old thing. You know, they can't accept compliments. Learn to accept compliments. You do something for yourself and the other person when you accept compliments. All right, let me move on. And then there's the imposter syndrome. That's when we're afraid that we're going to be found out, that we're a fraud. You know, we're qualified, but we're telling ourselves we don't belong there. It's a psychological pattern. Psychological pattern. Familiar to somebody, I think I heard? No? Okay. I've met a lot of accomplished people that have this imposter syndrome. They don't feel like they're good enough, they haven't done enough, they have all the degrees, but still, okay? And how to resolve them: set boundaries around some systems and individuals who detract from your personal wellness and your achievement. Because some people don't want to give you compliments, they don't want to acknowledge what you're doing. And write an identity statement. I'll get to that in a little while. And then the last one, which all of us were born with, there are two needs and one fear that we're born with. The need to grow, the need to be loved, and the fear is the fear of rejection. The fear of rejection. So the fear of rejection is the most fundamental of the human concerns. And all of these other emotions that I talked about before, they have some basis in fear as well. Okay. And we have fear of rejection for a lot of different reasons. We might have had a breakup, loss of a job, whatever. But we want to raise our awareness. We want to be aware of our drive. And then we do something that responds to that feeling, and then we have. So sometimes you find out, you ask yourself, well, how did I end up here, wherever here is? And you're not aware. But you made that choice way back then based on how you were thinking. So sometimes you have to do some retrospective work. You know, what was I thinking? What was I feeling back then? Journaling helps that also. It's the talking to yourself, authentic journaling, helping yourself to really reflect on what your thinking was, how you were feeling, and that might help you to get to the thoughts that led you there. I did this exercise earlier, so I'm not going to go through it, but I do want you to remember that that's the way you were, we all function. This is the identity statement that I mentioned. You can go to that slide, Tim. Yeah, it helps you to mitigate, to really make it smaller, lessen the thieves of your dreams by counteracting those negative impulses, the self-doubt, imposter syndrome and stuff. So you always start with I am, because whatever comes after I am is a declarative statement. Your subconscious is going to accept anything that you tell it, and it doesn't know reality from fantasy. So if you tell yourself, I am beautiful, that's what your subconscious is going to hear. That's how it's going to proceed, and you will begin to see that that's working for you. It's not necessarily magic, but that's how we're built. So you want to begin with affirmatives about who you are. That's your personal values, your qualities, your strengths. Include the things that you love, what you're passionate about. Mention aspirational goals also, but I'll give you an example of what an identity statement would sound like. I'm a compassionate and creative individual who loves to connect with others through art. I aspire to inspire those around me to embrace their uniqueness and chase their dreams. You know, so find out what yours is. I'm going to give you, that's one of the handouts I'm going to give you. So next slide. All right, this is an exercise that I want to share with you. We call it the stop technique. And it is a technique that can show you how to interrupt any unresourceful thought or emotion that doesn't get you what you want. I have someone working in my practice now. This is a constant thing that we're doing. And it's not something that you do it's not just a one-off. But what you want to do is you want to capture. In fact, I'm going to ask you to stand up so I show you how you do this. Yeah. Okay. You can move away from the table so you have a little room. Okay. I want you to shake yourself off. Shake yourself off. Come on, shake those bodies. I want you to select a thought or a memory that makes you feel bad. Whatever, it could be an experience you had. You don't have to dwell in it, but just tap into something that makes you feel bad. So you're going to make yourself feel bad on purpose. I want you to remember that thought. And then I want you to look up at the ceiling, find a spot on the ceiling, look up at the ceiling. I want you to take a deep breath and put a big smile on your face, keeping that thought that you had. And then I want you to bring a memory into your mind about something that gave you joy. I want you to think about it. I want you to bring yourself back to that moment. It could have been your first child, it could be your first grandchild, it could be your wedding, something that brought you great joy. I want you to think about it and really, really think into it. Make yourself feel that feeling again. Keep that big smile on your face, keep your shoulders back. Think about that and feel the joy, feel the happiness. Oh, just off the chart. Feel that, feel that. Then I want you now to come back and get that feeling that made you feel bad. How many of you can feel that feeling? Okay. And why do you think you can't feel that? Because what? You can't feel two feelings at once, but what you did is you created what we call a scotoma. A scotoma is a void. And when you have a void, if you don't put something in there right away, you're going to go back to the same thing. Mother Nature is going to fill it with something that you might not want to fill it. So what you did is that you created a feeling, you felt badly, and then you intentionally made yourself think of something joyful, and you brought yourself back to that. That filled the void. So it shows that you can change your thoughts and change your feelings. That's just there's a longer version of the stop technique, but that's just an abbreviated version, and you'll get a copy of that. But it just shows you that your thoughts are really in control of everything that you do, starting with what you think. With this particular exercise, what I'd like you to do, don't wait until you're feeling bad. Practice it at least 3 times a day for 10 days or more, so that when you encounter a situation that's unpleasant, this would be your go-to. It's your go-to. It's your default. We call it your default. Okay? All right. So raise your arm. Pat yourself on the back. I am magnificent. Yes. Yes. Good, 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 good. All right, have a seat. Okay, so I know it's 3 o'clock. We don't have a lot of time for questions, but I'd like to entertain some. This is the QR code that we're going to, Tim, can you put that up on the screen? Yeah, the QR code. We'd like to get your feedback about this workshop. So we're going to leave it up there. I also have copies of my book. I went through very quickly some of the things that I talk about in my book, which, like I said, has to do with self-leadership, a lot about how you program your thoughts, some of the methods that I teach and some of the methods that I use myself. And they're here. You can purchase them today. You can purchase them through the QR code on the table. But let me just find out if you have any questions, any comments. Yes?
I really enjoyed the last exercise that was about a childhood trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And when we did the opposite of the exercise, I didn't even remember the childhood trauma because the joy of the second part just knocked out that childhood trauma.
And guess who did that? You did that. You did that. You made that happen. So I can't really emphasize enough how much control we have over our thoughts. Sometimes we just allow thoughts to come through our head and we don't examine them. Hold your thoughts captive. Ask yourself why. Why am I thinking this? What's the purpose of, what lesson am I learning from this? Is this keeping me stuck? So now, you have a tool that you can use whenever you're feeling unresourceful, you have a technique to use to help you to get out. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to have those feelings, but you're going to remain in those feelings less. All right? There's nobody that's fearless, but there are people that fear less because they have a process. This is the process to help you get beyond those difficult times. Don't wait until you get them. Start practicing them from now. 3 times a day, 10 days or more, so that when it happens, that's where you go. Any other questions or comments? Yes.
How do you define the difference between self-worth and self-confidence? They kind of...
Well, I would say if you feel worthy, if you have good self-worth, so to speak, that normally will lead to self-confidence. If you feel good about yourself, you're going to tend to take more actions, doing things, showing that you feel comfortable, that you feel capable, that you feel able. But if you lack self-worth, usually there's no self-confidence. In fact, I see self-confidence in 2 ways. You can have poor self-confidence. I can't do this. That's a you're confiding in yourself that I can't do. And then there's a positive, I can do, and that's you're confiding in yourself that you can do. So self-worth, usually supports the self-confidence positive. Anything else? Anyone else? Okay. Well, thank you so much. It was a pleasure. And you should have several handouts. Some I didn't speak about, they're self-explanatory. That one, HALT, is a very good one because it helps you to tap into when you're feeling hungry. Is it hungry for food, hungry for emotion? When you're feeling tired, just how do you feed yourself by reflecting and seeing what your status is at the time. So thank you so much.
Yes, make sure if you would like a copy of Sister Cheryl Burton's book, they are available. You can see Teresa on the backside. Just come up and look at it and just breeze through it. You might be interested in this book. It's powerful.
All right, so can we give it up one more time for Dr. Burton? And I encourage you to get the book today because it's on discount, $20. Is that right? $20. So if you buy the book today, you get it at a discount. God bless you. So, got it. So we like not having to pay shipping, right? Or give Amazon any more of my money. So listen, I want to first give God thanks. Can you guys give it up one more time for our God? We serve an awesome, a wonderful, magnificent God who thought it not robbery for us all to be here today. And I like how Dr. Burton said, can you pat yourself on the back? Come on. Give it up for yourselves for being here today. This is an investment in yourself. This is an investment in those you love and those around you. So give it up for yourselves for being here. I give God thanks again for our pastor and his vision, who's made it possible for us to be here, our First Lady. And Reverend Kelly, thank you for being our MC. Can you come up and get your flowers now? While you Yes, Reverend Kelly is amazing. Thank you, sis. Thank you. All righty, and let me tell you, Brother Tim, not only was he here with us all day today, and Brother Phil, but he works to prepare to make sure we have everything, and set both of them did. And so I want to give God thanks for our awesome media team, our facilities team, Sister Angela and her team. Like, ministry does not happen in a vacuum. And I hate calling out names because you always forget somebody, but I just want to really point out our key folks. Our ministries pray for each other as well here at Greater Centennial. So on our prayer line, we've been praying. And so I just give God thanks for all of them. And folks, we've got an awesome mental well-being ministry team. And so I got to shout them out. And of course, they always working, right? So we have Sister Tamisha Singleton. Give it up for her one more time. We have Sister Tamiko. Give a wave, Sister Tamiko. Reverend Tunde did her workshop upstairs. Give it up. Sister Deborah is here as well. And we have some people who are part of our team that couldn't be here today, but everyone matters. And so we give God thanks for each and every one of them. Huh? Thank you. Thank you, sis. We have tremendous partners, American Foundation of Suicide Prevention, Brother Brian, who was here, who represents Greater Mental Health, NAMI, a host of resources and partners that really get us through. Oh, and I forgot to mention Jackie, Earthel, and Rita, who couldn't be here today. I do want to mention their names as well. I want to tell you about a couple of upcoming events. It's important that as we get information, we share. And so one of our partners, a very close partner of ours with the Westchester County Office of Community and Mental Health, they have a workshop coming up, From Trauma to Triumph, and it's Thursday evening, and it's virtual. So there on the table are a bunch of resources. You can scan the QR code, and I'm going to give you her email. As a matter of fact, flyers are on the table as well. But many of you know Pat White. We call her the convener in Westchester County. But this workshop is going to be phenomenal because we heard how trauma impacts us, right? Many of us had traumas as children, and we experience trauma every day as well. So how do we move from that place of trauma, mental health issues, as well as overdose prevention? We didn't have enough time to talk about substance misuse, but it is a mental health disorder. Overdoses are on the rise as well. And so that workshop is this Thursday from 6 to 7. You can email pwhite1220@gmail.com to receive the Zoom link or get the flyers over here. The first workshop I did today is also going to be held virtually November 17th. So share that with someone. Let's save lives. You can share this information, scan the QR code to register, share it with your family and friends. That's going to be on November 17th. And then one of the foundational training programs that really got me started with this, and I got certified to teach it, is mental health first aid. You can bring that. Not all of you are members at Centennial. You may go to other churches. Westchester Jewish Community Services has a grant, and they're offering mental health first aid for youth and adults at their church. So you can reach out to them. If you want to bring that to your church, you can do so. And again, that flyer is there as well. And so I'm going to call Reverend Kelly back up here. She's going to close us out. And once again, I give God thanks for each and every one of you. And if I forgot anybody by name, just charge it to my head, not my heart, because you're in my heart. God bless you all. Thank you again.
Can I just, before we close, any visitors today? I know I have one for the first time. This is your first time? Oh, you were here before? Yeah. Oh, that's age, y'all. That's age. Totally forgot. Amen. Look at your neighbor and say, oh, these are two new ones. Let's just greet our new arrivals today. Thank you for coming. And I thought I saw another new face, but we just want to greet our newcomers. Thank you for coming. I hope you come back again, and I hope you learned something. I hope everybody learned something today. And just look at your neighbor before we leave and just say, I'm so glad to see you. And have a wonderful day. Let us bow our heads for the benediction. Father God, we come to you and we thank you for this day, God, as we stopped to take care of mental wellness. We thank you, oh God, for all that we've heard, all that we have learned today. God, would you allow us to leave from here and apply it to our lives? Help all the education that we learned and heard, that we are able to use it not only for ourselves, but for someone else that is seeking need on today. And God, we bless you for every facilitator and every person that is here. We ask, oh God, that as we leave this place, we shall never leave your presence. Go with us, be with us, and grant us traveling mercy. This is my prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.